using the resources. We are not building, we are not making our network ready. It looks like we are more in a slogans mode than doing the real thing. So I'll moderate this panel. I have two panelists. David is here. Mukom will be online, and we will give you the opportunity to react, because we have to. I want us to be honest to ourselves and see what we can do. So please give us your attention. When can I have the slides? I put a few slides to just show where we are, and then we will ask the panelists to react, and probably I will also give you the opportunity to react. I think we will go step by step, discuss where we are and why are we where we are, and then we will move on to what we've been doing and how we can improve or what we could do better. So, okay, while we are waiting for the slide, you have the mic. So I would like my panelists to introduce themselves. Okay, we have the slide, so we can come back. Okay. So, Wayne, can you help me next? Okay, this is the global. Okay, so this is where the world stands in terms of adoption of IPv6. Almost, the world has passed 40%. This data is coming from Google. Next. This is the distributions, okay, country-based. So you can see where Africa stands. We have a couple of countries where IPv6 is deployed, but they have an issue, latency issue between V4 and V6. I think this is where the red you saw probably, which is Congo Brazzaville, but I don't know, maybe David will explain why do we see that red. But you can, if you look at Africa in the global, next. So the same data from different perspectives. This is from Epinic Labs. Then if you look at the global, then you see where Africa stands. Are you proud? No. Wait, why are you on hurry? You want to hide something? When you want to hide something, no, don't be on hurry. Do you see where you are? Where we are? 40%? No, 4%. If you compare to the other region. Then if you go down, then you look at the distribution per regions. So look at your regions. Me, I'm from West Africa. Nico, look at your regions. Are you from West Africa or you are from Southern Africa, Nico? Well, it looks like Central Africa and West Africa, we seem to be doing very well. Then we should look for the people from the Eastern and the Southern Africa. I see my Kenyan friend laughing. So you can see that, honestly, it's not very encouraging. Next. So then here I trying to show again how things are. Okay, then the global, we may not look at the global, but then if you look at downside, it shows the countries there, but it has two data. It shows the countries with the biggest numbers. Then it shows also, the colors also show in terms of the percentage. Then you could see that Nigeria and Egypt seem to have the biggest numbers of IPv6 users, but if you compare to the percentage of the global internet users, they are not doing well. A country like Togo, like Gabon seem to be doing well in terms of percentage of internet users who are using IPv6. So this is where we are. So, David, we go in French or English? English.
Let's go English.
So this is where we are. So do you agree, disagree with this statistic? So what are your thoughts?
Okay, thank you, Alain. Good afternoon, everybody.
But first introduce yourself.
Yes, of course. Good afternoon. I'm David Carena. I'm the regional CTO of GVA Canal Box in West Africa. About GVA is a fiber to the home internet service provider present in 9 countries in Africa. In West Africa, we are present in Benin, Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, and Togo. In Central Africa, we are present in Congo, DRC, and Gabon. And in Eastern Africa, we are present in Rwanda and Uganda. GVA started his operation in 2017 by the launch of the first subsidiary in Gabon. About the IPv6 adoption, it's clear here that we are at an embryonic phase now because the IPv6 deployment is not done at all in most of the countries and operators. We just noticed several months ago that the different bodies, like the different regulator and telco, started to encourage people to deploy IPv6, maybe because of the shortage of IPv4 and the different challenges we had with our resource management body here in Africa. But it's clear that it is not deployed at all, and we have to work on it. And I think during this panel that we will discuss and have some insight and know how to move forward on this. Thank you.
Okay, I'm told that Mokom is online now.
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Mokom, please introduce yourself. And I hope you saw my introductions on where we stand in terms of IPv6 deployment. And I would like to hear your opinion on the data. And yes, and then we will now move on and interact with the audience. So please, Mokom, proceed.
Thank you so much. My name is Mokom. I'm the head of the cluster body. I have the misfortune of having been the person who's been around tons and tons, lots of countries, training people how to deploy IPv6. And so the data speaks for itself. You can't deny it. The progress that we're seeing isn't where we want it to be. And we might discuss the reasons later, but the assumption seems to have been that all you need to do to promote IPv6 deployment is to just train people how to do that. That's not true, right? All the training in the world isn't going to deploy IPv6. And so over the years in Africa, we've evolved to different phases. We've done the training. I mean, some of these countries, you and I were there, like for example in Togo, Chad, for example, we're there together. And it got to a point when we will go to a country and see people who are attending their third or fourth IPv6 training. So we now moved to one of the other things we started doing at Africa to say, we don't really care about training. We want how people actually start deploying things, which is why we literally invented and declared an event where people can come in, and by the time they leave, they would have turned on something that everyone can see, whether it is, if they don't have a prefix, you get a prefix. If you get a prefix, we help them announce it. If they got a prefix that is announced, we can turn it on and test Villa. And through that, over the years, we've been able to bring some operators and then they would start something that you can see, announce prefixes, IPv6 and test VLANs. But then there's still that last bit. It does not kill. And I'm not surprised at this, because if you go to most of the large IPv6 deployments in the world, they either happen because the executives of the company make a decision that we want to start greenfield and start with this thing called IPv6.
So,
yeah.
Yeah,
Can you hear
okay, I
me?
think we'll come back. We'll come back to that. I don't want the executive in a room to run away. So let them stay. Let's pose at this thing. Then we will now discuss the reason. So I want to hear from the audience. What happened to us? Because we had the first Afrinic IPv6 meeting in Cairo in 2003. And we've been having things. So what happened to us? You have people online?
Yes, a comment came online.
Okay.
This is from Francis Kwabena Boachi. He says, well, the issue of IPv6 is about demand. Africa seems to have a lot more IPv6 not used, and this may have affected the urge to move to IPv6. No, sorry, let me take that again.
We have V4. We have still enough V4.
Yes.
That's why we are not moving
Using
to
V6, yes.
Okay.
However, as other connectivities go up, IPv6 will increase.
Okay.
Should I give you a question from online?
No. We are not yet in the questions
Okay.
for now. So,
That's
yes,
fine.
I've noted the point that it's because we still have V4. That's why we are not moving into IPv. We are not moving into IPv6. This is something we used to hear, we used to discuss. Okay. So, yes, I mean, why is that we have this kind of IPv6 penetration why we have people like you pulling fiber all over Nigeria, etc. So why are you not putting IPv6 everywhere?
Okay, IPv6 also is it's the future of connectivity. Let me put it this way, because AI, 5G, 6G, any fintech, any future technology that we are talking about, we need IPv6 for it. We're no longer discussing about IPv4. Now, the problem relies with the service providers, with the upstream, because you have a major challenge with some of the upstreams. They don't provide peer on IPv6, and I have personally experienced this in my company in Nigeria. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. So, Nico, is that the same? You concur with Amin? Okay, who else? So are you saying that it's the upstream provider? I know them, they are my friends, so I can report you to them. Man. They are my friends. No, I think there must be other reason. Okay, we hear one other reason why, we like V4 too much that we do not want to go for V6. Where are the ladies? The future of your kid are now at stake. Please speak up. But okay, so I hear two things. You love V4, and you are reluctant for V6. Then the second point is that we have some bottleneck in the ecosystem. Okay, so David, do you agree? Or do you want to add something to this?
I agree. I will say regarding the upstream provider, if I take our example in GVA, we don't have such issue. All our upstream provider used to peer in V4 and V6, so this is not an issue, and especially even a part of the upstream provider, if you take the internet exchange points, the main we have in Africa, they peer in V6. So it's just for me those are not the main reason about this lack of IPv6 traffic in Africa.
So yes, okay, thank you. Mokom, you were trying to elaborate on the reason why we are in this situation. Can you please elaborate now?
Okay, thank you. So almost every time you speak to someone who's an executive, they're always hearing this thing. It started with, we're looking for a killer 10 years ago, right? And when you speak to executives, I have spoken to lots and lots of executives, both in regulators, saying, what's the business case? What's the killer application? And that has led me to the realization that to deploy IPv6 is a technical problem, but to start it is a business problem. If you are today, if you are the executive who has to make decisions between 5G and rolling fiber and SR, all of that stuff, plus this thing called IPv6 that literally no one is asking about it. Let's not forget, there is no country where the customers are asking for something called IPv6, none at all, right? Almost always, you are going to make decisions that have some kind of clear return on investment in the next few years. So until the people who run networks from the ISPs and the enterprises start saying, we want to design and run our networks for the next 10 years, for the next 15 years, for the next 25, 50 years. And we can't do that with IPv4. So let's start asking for IPv6 now, step by step. This isn't going to change. So we've got a couple of things that we are trying to do at AFNIC, and I will share it later.
Later, okay. Thank you. Prof, you want to say something? Okay.
Sometimes we say things to stimulate, so don't take me as going away.
Okay.
I don't believe any customer ever asks for any particular identifier. I don't believe when I ever joined, I asked for V4. I joined, you gave me what was available, and I took both. Okay. But it's possible,
Yes.
that the brokers pushed you this way. The people who wanted to come for your V4 kept telling you that you don't need V4, do V6. In so doing, you took your V4. And so you stayed there. You see, if you had been left, this is the example of the external control, external questions that you had in the morning from the seniors. If you had been left to organically acquire these things, when you gave it to everyone, they would have tried some and so on. But because there was a pent-up pressure that you don't need your V4, give it to us, the natural reaction, in my opinion, would have been, you want this, me too, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So since we are trying to heal, I want to bring it there that, we should go back to the normal organic growth in the use of our things, and people try both of them. I think here you have V6, right?
Yes. No, we are still working on it.
They're still working
on it.
So you see, that also begins to support your provider, not focusing on it sufficiently. I mean, I'm just trying to bring these things so that we, as a community, we see what exactly we have to do. But I hope I've added something.
Yeah, you really added that. So because when we saw the battle for IPv4 and people were trying to grab IPv4, it makes sense that the people say, let me protect my V4, and maybe V4 still have a life, I should, etc., etc. So, yes, and speaking for the providers, we've been trying since Saturday to get IPv6 on this network. It has not been easy, but I'm pressuring the team that before we close Friday, we should have IPv6. But like Prof said, it's an example that IPv6 is not easy everywhere. So we still have issue at some places. So, okay, so let's see. I will now go through some of the initiative or what we're trying to do, because yes, we've tried things. So as I said, we had the first IPv6 meeting in 2003. So, and then since Afrinic has the IPv6 program, then Afrinic has been has the new program certification, IPv6 certifications, IPv6 forums. ITU and Afrinic has deployed some IPv6 testbed. I remember we had testbed in Cote d'Ivoire, in Kampala. So then we even had some IPv6 project in the past. Prof, you may remember 6 Mandela. We tried 6 Mandela at Afrinic. And when you look at the statistics, okay, it shows at Afrinic, in terms of IPv6 deployment, it shows that only Eritrea, Mayotte, and Central Republic has no IPv6 issue. So it means that in terms of IPv6 allocation from Afrinic to the country, only these 3 countries has no IPv6 from Afrinic. And it shows that 56% of Afrinic members are dual. They have both from Afrinic, 56. And we only have 0.51 IPv6 only members at Afrinic. So we do have some people IPv6 only members. Afrinic fees has remained the same, I think, for the last 15 years. Then Afrinic still give discount. So first, these days, when you come for Afrinic IPv6, it does not change your membership category. So Afrinic is not counting the IPv6. For you, they give you discount. If you are IPv6 only, they still give discount, 100% first year. So we are still, Afrinic is still applying the old scheme of funding, which was meant to encourage IPv6 deployment. We had IPv4 soft landing policy, Madvi mentioned today, which is meant also to guarantee that the newcomers get V4 so that they can implement. We extended the IPv6 assignment policy, IPv6 to end user. Some of you may remember that at the beginning, the was only allocation to the LIR because we did not want the fragmentations. But at some point, we allow IPv6s to be assigned to end users. So if you are enterprise, banking, you can also get IPv6 directly from Afrinic. This was supposed to facilitate because people were complaining that the upstream or the providers were not IPv6 ready. So in November 2022, African Telecommunication Union launched the IPv6 deployment white paper. So it meant to also explain how you can deploy IPv6. By the way, we are supposed to have Isaac Boateng from ATU in the panel, but he will be here on Thursday during the ICANN day to talk about the ITU IPv6 initiative. And in June this year, ATU, the African Telecommunication Union, got a grant from ICANN to also help improve the IPv6 deployment in Africa. So this is just to give an idea of the effort we'll be making. Okay, the result, the outcome seems to not match our effort, but now let's see concrete example. So David, it's happened that GVA has been able to deploy IPv6 everywhere in this country. So can you share some light on your business case? Because I hear that you must have a business case. So what was your business case and how did it go?
Okay, thank you, Alain. Yes, in GVA Canal Box, we do deploy IPv6 from day 0 when starting our operation in a country. And since 2017, in all our network, we deploy IPv6. Prior to that deployment, we used to work with our R&D team and our engineer team to check in all the value chain and integrate IPv6 deployment before we go live. We are a new network, less than 10 years, so this is possible with us. But the key element here is to test everything before you put it in production. And with what you see with AppNIC, in all our region, we are leading the deployment in IPv6. And when you take the top 10 countries in Africa, we will have the first and 5 of our operation deploying IPv6. And you can notice also in the percentage of device using IPv6, like between 80 and 90% of devices doing IPv6. And I will remember that we are doing fiber to the home, and our end users use IPv6 seamlessly. This is something that is true for IPv6 and IPv4. The user don't mind if it is 4 or 6. He just wants the service. And when you provide the service, it uses it seamlessly. And this is one of our key points also, trying to get it done without any interaction and no complication.
Okay. Thank you, David. I confirm that in Lome, I'm one of your customers, and then I enjoy the IPv6. And I even use IPv6 to impress my colleagues from the other countries. But one takeaway from what you just said is that it looks like your network is young. So it looks like you build a new network which probably allow you to have these facilities probably.
Yes, but not only because it's new, we do test everything before.
Before you go.
Yes.
And then speaking for the upstream provider, just to make sure that, can you explain a bit about your links so that we know who are your providers? Because you seem to have good providers.
Yes, we. I think it is the same providers. It's just we used to push them, and this is mandatory for us to have V6. Everybody knows here that with V4 and the shortage, we need to use NAT boxes if our network is big, and we know the issue with NAT. And we know also that the main content providers in the world are using V6. And if you can avoid having to do some expense, CapEx and OpEx on NAT boxes because you are using V6, I think for your business model, it is also better to go with V6.
Yeah. Okay. I got something. You said that for you, when you go negotiate transit or peering, IPv6 is mandatory. So if they want your business, they should have IPv6. And I see Nico agreeing with me. So Mukom, what has Afrinim been doing, and what shall we expect?
So, first of all, let me just share a story with you. Almost more than 10 years ago, where I lived in Mauritius, my team, we worked with one of the operators here to do a proof of concept of IPv6. So we demonstrated, they did what we call IPv6 launch. What we demonstrated, a VoIP call over an IPv6 network end-to-end on the island. That was successful. Guess what happened 3 days later? This operator bought a huge batch of CPEs for their fiber network. Those CPEs do not support IPv6. No path to supporting IPv6. So you can train all the engineers who work in that country. The CFO of that country is simply of that company is simply not going to release money to replace all of them. Now that's what's important. That just as you train the engineers, you need to train the executives to understand that there are certain decisions that you make at the level of the executive, right? What you purchase, right? That affect the ability of the network to transition to IPv6. This is just one example, and there's tons of them. I've been to countries where there was IPv6 working. Some of you, if you remember, the Kigali airport, like you go one day it's working, like 6 months later it just was not working. Now, what is happening? Yes, we do understand that for us to have scalable IPv6 deployment, it needs to be a business case. And so one of the programs that we're launching, we started with some prototypes, early adopters. It's what we call the government accelerator program. Right. So I'll explain what it means. The traditional thing that when regulators talk about IPv6, they want to talk about mandates. We're not doing that, right? Mandates is never going to move IPv6 anywhere in the world. In fact, the country, the government on this planet that has the highest government capacity is probably China. Even they were not able to get IPv6 through mandates. But what can government do? In every country on this continent, the largest supplier, the largest consumer of IT services is the government. Whether they're buying servers, or buying computers, or buying network, or just paying for IT services. So the idea behind the government accelerator program is, how about we get government to stop trying to use the power of mandate and regulation, and instead using economic incentives of them being the largest consumer of ICT services in the country. Because I can tell you, if the government simply says, you don't need to do anything, they say, starting next year, if you don't have IPv6 on your website, you are not going to be eligible for certain government contracts. Suddenly, you have a business case. And so at FNIC, we have a complete set of solutions. So training for engineers, training for managers, the deployment support, upsells, to make sure that the government services, the government starts using IPv6, and therefore create economic incentives for operators in the country.
Okay, thank you. I think I will open again for the floor, and I would like to see if there are government representatives here. So yes, so please go to the mic. Please go to, there is a mic here, and then.
If you don't mind, I'll try to entertain you some more. I heard a beautiful business case.
Mm-hmm.
What I heard was that the content providers are running V6.
Yes.
That's the case. Yeah. What I'm not sure is whether it's the executives who specify the CPEs or is the engineers who specify CPEs. You know, I'm trying to catch something, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because normally, a executive doesn't just go by himself to order engineering things. They are specified, by the team who are supposed to be authoritative on what is to be acquired. Right? So this rather reveals that the engineers did not specify, and so a random set of CPEs were obtained. That was just an example, but I'm using it to stir thinking. The issue of government contracts scares me, okay, because you used to tell me, don't tell me how to run your network, right? That was a normal mantra, right? So the NIC would not tell you how to run your network. That was classic. Okay, now you've gone beyond the NIC, and you are saying that the policy authority should tell you how to run your network. I worry. Okay? Mm-hmm. Because, my network is my network. Yeah, you can give me guidelines and all those to help me. You can give me training. You can even give me technical assistance. It's fine. But as to put it in government contracts, I'll say it's unfair.
Yeah.
I'll say it's unfair.
It's unfair. Okay. I think, yes, the panelists will try to address, but you were in the queue, right? Okay, before we go for the online, he was in the queue.
Thank you. So, my name is Asari. For me, I think we need to understand the real benefit of deploying IPv6, because just as the resource person said that, okay, they are no longer buying NAT boxes and all those sort of stuff. So if we get to know that, okay, when you deploy IPv6, these are the things organizations stand to gain. Maybe, let's say, I'm just giving an example. there wouldn't be anything like loop prevention, that sort of thing. You won't buy network device where you'll be running out of processing power because of your NAT policies you've created in them and all those sort of stuff. And then many other things. So if we get to know the benefit, it's actually going to push us to be able to deploy IP version 6. Otherwise, if IP version 4 is not broken, why fix it?
Okay. Yes. Suzanne.
Okay, the first one is a question. The second one will be a comment.
Okay.
The first one comes from Lucky Masilela. He says, why do we see low uptake of IPv6 in Africa broadly? Why do we see a low uptake of IPv6 in Africa broadly? And then Success Bridge comments and says, Alain, we also need to look at policies that do not mandate African government to discourage the dumping of tech gadgets without IPv6.
Okay. Thank you. I think we will. Let me see in the room. Okay. I think, as Mukom has said, and Mukom will speak again, we've been doing training, and from this gentleman, we've been explaining this IPv6, the benefit, and we even at some point we even change the gear. We even trying to teach people or to explain to people what are the costs for not deploying IPv6. At the beginning, we started explaining what are the benefits. But because it was not taken up, we changed and said, now what are the costs for you for not deploying IPv6? We try, we explain, okay? But yes, but it didn't really quite well work. So, but then probably to wrap up, I will allow the panelists, starting from David, to just, you heard the questions, so choose the one you want to address and then maybe add your final recommendations.
Yes, thank you, Alain. About the question, I just want to come back on the content provider. We have all of them, I will say, they are using IPv6. If I take especially in our network, we have around 30 to 40% of the traffic on IPv6. That is not something we can ignore. It is huge. And we can do more if locally, between operators in the same country, we are exchanging prefix in IPv6 using our small exchange point. This is not the case in many of the countries. And locally, at least, end users can have communication using only IPv6. About the benefits, I think we have technical benefits that we have to map with business benefits. When talking and saying that content provider, most of them use IPv6, what will be the impact on the business perspective? We talk about NAT boxes. We can talk about the quality of service, because without NAT, you have better quality of service. And this has to be measured, and this has to be shown on business perspective, not only technical perspective. Because like everywhere, I don't think that it's executive who will select the CP or something. It's all the time engineers and technical team. And I can tell you in some countries, when I was working 10 years ago, they had strategy to deploy IPv6. We started doing it in the internal network for the management, etc. But it stopped there. Why it stopped there? For me, my small idea is that maybe we don't have enough, test beds, local test bed, where engineer can sit without thinking to have an impact on the live network and putting things together, testing everything before coming with confidence and tell the management, I have the thing, I can do it, and I have tested everything. This is something missing, and if you go in Europe and other countries in the north, almost every network have a test bed, same with what is in production. I think this is very, very important to have something like that. And if only one network cannot have a test bed, maybe they can work together to have one and deploy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, David. You questions? Because one more comes to. Okay, well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, you've made me lose it. Okay, Sheun Ojedeji is asking, putting it on government contract, especially for ministries, related contract should be fair enough since it is their contract for their parastatals and not a policy for everyone. That said, this needs to go beyond government-based contracts. Regulatory bodies should add IPv6 awareness in their engagement with service providers. They could give some incentives, maybe some licensing discount, or to provide to the provider for running IPv6. More of a comment.
Okay, thank you. But I think this morning I hear that we hear somebody from NCA. So I think these things is about the regulators using IPv6, okay, or using license discount, okay, to promote IPv6. But I don't know if NCA is in the room to share their experience. Is this something they have considered? Have you, any regulators in the room? No. Okay, so, okay, one from Niger. From? Okay, Gabon, okay.
Alors, je vais essayer de répondre, mais en français.
D'accord.
Bon, par rapport à la question, je pense que c'est une bonne idée. Ça va être analysé, mais concrètement, à l'état actuel des choses, il n'y a pas de discount, il n'y a pas de remise par rapport à ce genre d'action. Et moi, je pense que à partir de cet instant, Afrinic peut s'approcher soit à travers Smart Africa pour proposer ce genre d'idées-là et puis voir avec les ministères et les régulateurs, parce qu'il y a un point de rencontre là-bas. Ils vont analyser la situation et puis promouvoir l'usage de ces adresses IP, IPv6. Parce que franchement, c'est vrai qu'on parle tout le temps des fournisseurs d'accès. Nous avons beaucoup de fournisseurs d'accès ici. Malheureusement, ils ne se prononcent pas. Donc on ne sait pas concrètement est-ce que le problème c'est à leur niveau ou tout simplement c'est à notre niveau. Voilà ce que j'ai ajouté. Merci.
D'accord, ok. Le Gabon voulait parler. Non, je pense que au moins ici on a un accord. Le problème est au niveau de l'infrastructure. Et aujourd'hui, on sait aussi que le problème est au niveau du cœur du réseau et de l'accès. Au niveau du contenu, ça va mieux. Au niveau des points d'échange, je pense que Nico, au niveau des points d'échange, ils ont tous du 6. C'est au niveau des réseaux, du cœur de la distribution de l'accès. Et je pense qu'une grosse part du problème vient surtout de nos opérateurs, ce qu'on appelle les opérateurs historiques ou les opérateurs mobiles, parce qu'une bonne partie de notre Internet est mobile. Et je suis sûr que, comme David l'a dit, ces réseaux-là n'ont pas forcément l'environnement de test, l'environnement, comme on le dit, de staging, pour vraiment faire un certain nombre de tests grandeur nature avant de passer en production. Et je pense que ça doit être aussi un des éléments qui, voilà, surtout que le bénéfice n'est pas immédiat comparé au risque que cela peut leur apporter. So if you have not heard this is your business, okay? You are still on V4. French is IPv6. English is IPv4. So, So if you upgrade to IPv6, then you can speak English, French as well. So Mukom,
Yes.
you hear the question, the comment. So yes, please
So
go
there's
ahead.
a context. So first of all, let me first disagree with the assertion that Prof made, saying that governments are telling people, don't tell me how to run the network. I completely agree with that. That is why I am against mandates. However, if you've chosen not to deploy IPv6, you do not have the right to impose your technology choices on how the government runs its own infrastructure. We are not saying government should do mandates. We are saying government is saying, on our services, on our network infrastructure, in our data center, we only want to do IPv6. So if you're not capable, we will find someone else who is capable. And the other reason I believe in this is that the internet as we have today, there is no government in the world that could have created it. We know that AT&T, when given the opportunity to run the internet, turned it down because there was no business case. So particularly for Africa, if a government is ambitious enough, it needs to see IPv6 deployment as a core part of laying a strong digital foundation for the next 50 years. It is one of those things that you do because you cannot get a return on investment in the next 5 or 10 years. Only governments can comfortably make that kind of a choice. Now, someone also mentioned maybe we should do discounts for licenses. It's a simple math. Just ask the CFO of any big organization. The discount that you can get for a license is never going to be worth the value of being the provider of internet services to the whole government infrastructure for 1 year. So that argument just goes down the drain. So it is use the power, the economic power of the government as a consumer of ICT services. Because look, broadband internet, the kind of always on that is more than, let's say, 7 Mbps. The most likely place you're going to get it is what? On government network infrastructure and on universities. Those are not mobile networks. You have lots of laptops and desktops and servers that are already IPv6 capable. And if there's enough demand, they're big enough customers that if they ask, if the CTOs or the CIOs ask the operator, we want this, our internet service to be V4 and V6, there's going to be a significant amount of traffic that comes just from doing that. And then let's say, the final say, now, when I say users don't care about IPv6, they also don't care about IPv4. They care about the internet being faster. They care about being able to say maybe host some video services in their homes. It is the job of product management to translate these things that users obviously care about to, the best way, the most cost-efficient way to deliver this is through IPv6. And that is why, for example, our IPv6 strategy and planning training tries to get people into the product management sense so that when we have the executives and the managers thinking strategically about the benefits of IPv6 and competence from the engineering part, then we can have some kind of traction.
Okay, so I think Suzanne has been moving up and down, so I think we should wrap up. I think then nobody disagree with the statistic on where we are. Okay, so we all take the responsibility for what we've done. Okay, for what we've done. So then they look like I just heard what we've been hearing 2 decades ago. What are the benefits for IPv6? What is the business case for it? We want the governments must take the lead. Government must lead by example. Okay, so it looks like we are still back to where we started from. But I see Prof in the queue, so we will pause for.
Okay, just one quick. Please be careful getting governments in identifiers. The last time I heard, there was the 3rd identifier proposed through a government scheme. So be careful.
Okay, thank you very much. So we are again, and then we are now involving government. And, sometimes we call government to help, and then later on we start crying and say, et cetera, et cetera. Because me too, I work for government, So, So, again, we have to just be careful. But anyway, I think we collectively need to get together again. And but can we agree? Can we set timeline? We move to 10% by next AIS. You think it's doable? Susan, you think we can get 10%? Oh, okay, so Susan said we can get to 10%. So thank you all. Thank you, Dan.